Welcome back. How do you lie effectively? I guess the first question is, why would I be telling you this? I really don't like deception, and I would not encourage you to do it. However, there's plenty of entities and people out there who continue to lie egregiously. The best way to be able to find the truth is to understand where it's hidden. Yesterday, I was working with AI, and the day before, I worked with AI a fair amount. If you've seen my other videos, I am not afraid to use it. However, I'm fully aware that it is a deceptive entity, and it's used to maintain an Overton window or to keep us confined within certain areas of thought. The AI uses the primary way it lies. It does do outright lies, where I'll ask it a yes or no question, and it literally says the wrong question. And then says, "Oops, I'm so sorry, that was an oversight, or I missed it." So you do have outright lying, where you're giving the answer that is not true. You also have gaslighting, and that is telling someone the answer that you want them to believe, even if it's not in alignment with truth. So that one would be like with Carmen Electra, where she walked in on Dennis Rodman and there was a woman right there, and he's like, "There's no other woman here." So that's the gaslighting. And if a person really wants to believe that, maybe that their guy is not messing around, he might have a woman literally right there and ask, "Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?" Now, once we go into our victim culture, the perpetrator gets blamed. He gaslighted me, he is a liar, and everything else. I'm not saying that he wasn't wrong, but you also let it happen because you wanted to believe that truth. And then there's really, in my opinion, by far the most egregious and insidious form of lying, the one that's the most common. And that's the almost true lie. It's where you really have every detail is true except for one little piece, like these little tiny sins of omission, that if somebody knew the other fact, they would have a much more complete picture of what's happening. For example, I asked AI the other day, are we in a Newtonian or consciousness reality? And it gave me an answer, and I went back and forth with it, and then I challenged it the next day. And it admitted, even at this scale of reality, there's exceptions to the Newtonian way of looking at it. And of course, a normal person would say, well, that doesn't matter. We just go about our life. Except it does, because once we understand the importance of our consciousness and of our attention and intention, it empowers us. So to keep the status quo and the current power structure, we don't want people to know that. So AI is always going to bias. Now that's where the lie is. It's going to bias. It's going to emphasize. So it's, again, not saying an answer that is actually the outright lie, telling me that up is down, or man is woman, or whatever it is. Instead, it's telling me almost the truth. It's a lot harder to detect those lies. So I also had another incident, this time with Gemini, where I was asking about the correlation, because chakras have been considered a wheel. That's the translation. And then I realized it's more like a gyroscope. And the first two questions I asked Gemini told me I was out of my mind. I am most certainly not right. And then I sort of doubled down and gave proof. And then all of a sudden Gemini's like, wow, that's brilliant, yada, yada, yada. It only did that when it became incontrovertible and realized that I was not going to sway it. So then in order to save face, its programming allows it to affirm when it's no longer a question. Or at least that's what I'm picking up. I just saw a similar incident with Grok. So most of these AIs are using bias type of lies. That's important for you to know so you can calibrate to that. You can continue to use them safely as a tool, but understand most of the time they are lying to you. They'll give you true information, use that, but keep your awareness open to the lies hidden behind by what they're omitting.